Hello, fellow Redbirds. Welcome to Bird Fans Forever podcast number 50. Please follow us on our @BirdFansForever Twitter account to be notified of our latest podcast videos. Also, go visit our website, www.birdfansforever.com, where you can find a list of our previous podcasts. Finally, go visit Bird Fans Forever on YouTube and slam dunk that subscribe button. Our YouTube site has our Redbird game archive where you can go find a classic Redbird game to watch. We've been getting a lot of videotapes from friends of the podcast that Pem has been transcribing to our video library. Games for our player guests are out there on our YouTube account, so go find a good one to watch. Don't forget to support our Redbirds by buying the Empower the Nest beer from Keg Grove Brewing Company. We know there are plenty of other beer lovers out there, so buy a 4-pack of Empower the Nest beer to support our Redbirds. Our guest today played for the Illinois State Redbirds from 1982 to 1987 and is a two-time All-MVC selection. He received second-team honors in 1986 and first-team honors in 1987. He led the Redbirds in both points and rebounds for 2 seasons, 85-86 and 86-87, and ranks number 36 in ISU history for scoring with 1,088 points. He played in 1 NIT and 2 NCAA tournaments, and was inducted into the Percy Family Hall of Fame in 2011. Please welcome to the podcast, Redbird for Life, Derrick Sanders.
All right, welcome to Bird Fans Forever. I'm excited. This is episode 50. Derrick Sanders. He was a junior and a senior when I was a freshman and sophomore at Illinois State. He was a huge influence on Gerard and Sonny and I, and just how to play physical and that stuff. So welcome, Derrick. Love you. How you doing?
Hi, how you guys doing? All right. Yeah, good to be here.
Good. I like to call out, I was a redshirt sophomore. I was sitting on the bench. We were laughing about this before. I had great front row seats to watch my boy here against Akron in the first round go for 20 points and 11 rebounds. That's his first double-double. He'll turn around against Cleveland State in the second round of the NIT. He'll go 11 for 13, 83% from the floor, and his second double-double, 27 points, 12 rebounds. Beast mode, big boy.
Yeah.
Then against Akron, or LaSalle, who has Jeff Leitner, who's on ESPN, and then Lionel Simmons, who will go on to be the player of the year my senior year. Derrick will go 12 for 17 for 70% from the floor for 26 points and his third double-double. Reason why you're in the Hall of Fame, big man. So, love you. How do we always start the episode with how'd you get to ISU? So let's talk about your recruiting process.
I went to Chicago Christian High School, so we were in the private school league, but we played a lot of the public schools, and we didn't quite make it downstate. I think we got to one game out of the state championship in Champaign, and then during that process, a lot of big schools came through. Most of them were within the Chicago region, so a lot of the Chicago State, UIC, and then we went further south like Bradley, ISU. Like I was saying before, ISU and Bradley were probably my top 2 picks that I was really leaning towards. One thing that really stood out to me was when Dick Versace came to my place. He sat in the living room with my granddad, mom, and other family members, and he was honest. He said, "Look, when you come, we really want you to play, but you probably won't play your first year," because they had a pretty good junior, senior class. And he said, "I probably may not be here for your duration of your college career because I got an offer to go to the NBA." And he wound up leaving, I think, at the end of the season, going to Detroit Pistons, and moving on from there. And then I went to Illinois State, and probably was my best move, because Illinois State at the time was highly ranked. So we played a lot of good out of conference tournaments and a lot of top quality teams. So it gave me a chance to really get against some good competition. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about your freshman year. We were looking at the stats going back. Did not play against Alabama in that first win in the NCAA tournament, but then you come against DePaul, who is the #1 seed in your region, and you play 14 minutes as a freshman, 2 for 4 from the floor, 4 points, 4 rebounds. Nice work.
Yeah.
Do you remember that game at all? I mean, there's some big names in that game.
Yeah, I remember parts of it. I know going into the game, it was quite nerve-wracking because, like you said, they were ranked number one, and a lot of those guys I can remember playing in some summer league here in Chicago. We had a lot of those summer league competitions that we used to play over during the off season. So I had Terry Cummings and not so much Mark Aguirre, but Terry Cummings played a lot of summer league games, and it was probably a good opportunity to showcase my talent versus theirs. So that probably helped a bit. You know, when I did get in the game, I wasn't as intimidated as I thought I would be. But I did get a lot of foul trouble. I think I was a bit gun high and trying to block everybody's shot and getting steals. So that over memories that I do have is probably I did get in a lot of foul trouble as over my career, which probably set me back a bit. You know, staying on the court longer than what I wanted to.
Yeah. You only had 3 fouls in 11 minutes against DePaul. That's not bad.
That's not too bad, yes.
Yeah, not too bad, yeah. And I'm right there. So your influence, I was in a lot of foul trouble because of your influence. I'm blaming you for this.
That's it.
I think he had 4 fouls against USC. You played like 17 minutes there, and Oklahoma you played 18 minutes. Those were your sophomore years. You had 6 and 4 points. You played against some good competition.
Oh, yeah. I think Oklahoma had a really good team. Yeah.
Yeah, there was someone named Mr. Tisdale.
Yes.
You tried blocking that one out, right?
Oh, I blocked that one out. He just said the two players that really stood out over my career would have been playing against Wayman Tinsdale and Hersey Hawkins. Oh, yeah. I think he lit us up a few times over the years. But we always gave Bradley, I think because of the rivalry, we always gave them a good run for their money. So that probably
talk about that.
Thing. Yeah.
Talk about that ISU Bradley rivalry.
Oh, that was just over the top. I think that was probably one of the biggest rivalries in the conference over the years, and we always gave them a good run for their money, especially when we went down to Peoria and then when they came down to the field house. It was really, really good because I think the field house was more compact. I believe the stadium is a bit more spacious now, but at the field house back in the day, it was really compact, and it gave us a lot of home court advantage, which was quite good.
Oh, it was always packed.
Yeah.
It was always packed.
Yeah.
Well, you would have played 2 years in Robertson Memorial Field Hall, and then you played in the Civic Center.
Yes. Yeah. I think the old field hall, I could never forget. I always tell the kids I used to coach, I said, I remember if we did have a bad game, you probably copped some of this too. Coach Donowall will be sitting on his little chair on the side of the bench, and we'll get the suicides, and he'll say, "Run till I get tired." I was like, "Wait a minute, you're sitting down. When are you going to get tired?" That was probably
that was my freshman year, right? Because we were 16 and 14.
Yes.
We struggled a little bit.
Yes.
You know, you had a lot of sophomores in Matt and Jeff and Tony and Cliff.
Yeah.
Bill Bradsick had left, and so and then you had freshmen coming in, Gerard and Ricky and Randy, and I was a redshirt. Sonny was eligible to play, and so
Bradsick was still on that team, right? So your freshman year, that's the year we were one game over. There was only 3 upperclassmen, right? There was William, was a senior.
Yeah.
It was Bill and you, and then it was fresh. There was I don't know, it seemed like there was a dozen freshmen on the team. I know it was 7 or 8, but and then you had four sophomores, right? Mm. So talk about that, like how to being on a team where there's only 3 upperclassmen, and how you had to go in and
well, I think
teach these guys.
I think Lou still there. Lou was there.
No, Lou was gone.
No, Lou had left. Gone. Yeah, because Lou had left because we were roommates at I think my freshman year at one stage. So he was a big influence on me. But that following year, it was probably a challenge for me because you had to become a leader at a younger age. So that probably was a bit of a challenge, to try to stand out and be able to, lead by example, as you say, for the younger guys and the older guys as well. So, that was a challenge. That's probably the biggest memory I had, trying to be a leader sooner than I wanted to be. Yeah.
And you were really the vocal leader of that, my freshman and sophomore, right? Matt and Jeff and Tony and Cliff were all sophomores. I had that class of 8 freshmen with me.
Yep.
William is quiet. We call him Rev, right?
Yes.
We call him Rev. And Bill that wasn't his personality. I mean, Bill never got mad at anything.
No, he didn't.
I've seen people punch Bill, and Bill just like, okay, you punched me, so what? You didn't do anything to me. I'm still here, and he just keeps going. And he's smiling at you.
Yeah, he's smiling at you, yeah. The big 7-footer, yeah.
So, yeah. All right, talk about... we go through that year. Any other freshman memories you want to talk about? Sophomore memories.
I think the sophomore memories, probably getting to the biggest thing is when we went to the tournament. I think that was probably the highlight over my playing career was that NCAA tournament. I know a lot of people. They talk about it over the years, but when you actually go through and experience it, it's really something to sort of really cherish. And I think that was probably my biggest memory. I think I remember we went to, that might have been the first year, we had to go to Oral Roberts, and I remember driving into the stadium and the whole stadium was covered in gold, and you had the gold purring ants at the front entry gate, and then you go in the stadium, and it was just good memories. Yeah, it was good memories, and I think that was probably the thing that really stood out. The games, going back because it's such a long time ago, you got little flashbacks of when we played. I think when I played Oklahoma, I can remember Wayman Tinsdale because he was much bigger and stronger than I was. And I can remember trying to push him off the block and he wasn't moving. Because I wasn't, I had that, what they call wiry strength, but, I just couldn't hold up to him. I mean, he was just a monster of a player and talent. So that was probably a big challenge. But, I mean, I held my own, which was good. And that was probably a good memory I had over those two opportunities we had in the tournament.
So, Derrick, this Saturday, ISU is having returned to Horton. So they just started this last year. And so we all attended that game. There was only 3,500 people in the Horton at last year's game, and we used to have over 7,000 in there, just compact. Yeah. And the noise with 3,500 compared to Redbird Arena, it just brought back such great memories. It was deafening with only 3,500. Talk about playing at Horton and how that was, and maybe compare it to like other places in the Missouri Valley.
Oh, you hit it right on the head. It's deafening, especially when you're winning and you're up and you're making a big comeback. It's like the the noise of the stands and the fans, and I think the way the acoustics was throughout the building, it just penetrates your body. It just goes right through you, and then it just gave you that extra boost. And like they say, you got that 6-man. That definitely was our 6-man on the court when we were out there playing and doing our thing. Yeah. Other stadiums, probably the other one that really stood out to me that was quite loud was I think when we what was it? It was might have been Indiana State. That was another stadium that sort of brings back memories of the noise. That was the atmosphere. I think the stadiums were a lot smaller back then compared to what they are now. So it and the way they were set up and the noise and the sound that sort of traveled around throughout the court really made a difference if you were the away team or the home team. Yeah.
But Derrick, also talk about the fact that your freshman, sophomore year, you guys were ranked. So when you're coming into these foreign gyms, you're the hated team of the conference.
Yes, we were the hated team. I can remember. I think I went back and watched one of you guys' old episodes. I think you had Matt, and I think I can't remember the team we were playing, but Matt said he remembered they were yelling out at me and said I was a farm boy, and the guys were laughing like, they're from Chicago, where you get this farm boy stuff from? I don't recall them saying that, but that just really stood out, man, when Matt said that. I think my freshman and sophomore year, I can remember us going in the stadium, and that really made a big difference because a lot of the fans were heated, and it sort of made the competition a bit better because they knew we were the team to beat, and they were trying to knock us off our pedestal. So that was probably a good highlight over my first two years at Illinois State. Yeah.
And you guys got, you remember we were talking off air about how high you guys were ranked at one point. Can you kind of talk about that when you guys...
I think, because like I said, as a freshman year, you didn't really think about it. I mean, we knew of it. And now with the technology and cable and social media, it really didn't set in until you actually watched it on TV or the coaching staff told you about it. But I think it really hit home once we got closer toward the tail end of the season and we were ready to move on to tournament play. And that's when it really stood out how good we were and how talented we were. And that probably was, looking back from now, that probably was a good highlight to sort of remember.
See, and I remember you, my freshman year, when especially I roomed with you on the first trip. For those old people, they used to put the USA or whatever newspaper out front of your door in the hotel room.
Yes.
And we picked that up, and then you would, first time you'd open it up and go right to the sports section and go, oh, here's the top 25 ranking, right? And then I remember you telling us, oh, last year we were always ranked here, and that's how we would find out about it back then, was the newspaper, right? And so...
Yeah, because like I said, without the social media and stuff, you didn't see it unless you watched it on TV or you read it in the paper. You didn't really know where you were as far as ranking goes, as far as the rest of the teams, and you didn't play a lot of those teams that were above you anyway. So that's why I said it was good for us to sort of wait until we got toward that tournament play, and that really gave us a sort of gauge of how good we really were. And a lot of teams respected us over the years. So that was probably a good highlight to have in memory.
But your freshman, sophomore year, Wichita State was ranked. I mean, they had...
I think Wichita State and Tulsa.
Two Carr brothers and
Yes.
And what's his name?
Well, I think Missouri Valley might have had, they might have had quite a few teams ranked because Creighton had Benoit Benjamin, if I recall.
Oh, yeah, Benoit Benjamin.
Yeah, the big fella who wound up going to the Clippers. And then you had Xavier McDaniels.
That's the name I was thinking about for Wichita State. Yeah.
Wichita State. And then I believe Nolan Richardson was coaching Tulsa at the time when we were there.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
Tulsa was top 25. They had Steve Harris.
Yes.
And they won the conference your sophomore year. And then Wichita and ISU were
ISU, and then obviously the Bradley. A lot of the other teams in our conference were quite good, but I think we were probably the powerhouse in the conference my freshman year. We were right up there, so I think that was probably a fond memory that I had, that we were quite respected in that way. Yeah.
So talk about Horton. I'm gonna tell you a game that I remember where Horton was just busting. And you mentioned Benoit Benjamin. So Creighton came in. They had started doing well, and you guys you beat Creighton down, like, I don't know, it was like 90 something to 60.
Yeah.
And freshman year we sat in those north end zone state things, right? And the students were just going crazy that whole game. I mean, talk about the vibration. I mean, the stands were shaking.
Oh,
okay?
That's what I said.
When they're shaking, I'm saying they were literally shaking.
Yeah. Like John was saying, you can, if you were sitting on the bench, you can see the lights sort of moving in the rafters, and you felt the floor and the ground underneath vibrate. I said the only thing I can remember when we were either making a run or getting a big lead or hitting a shot, you can feel the noise and the intensity just go through your whole body. You know, it was like a chill, and it was just an awesome feeling. That's the only way I can describe it. It was an awesome feeling, and then when you were winning or making a comeback, it just made it even more better and exciting. Yeah. But I think Horton probably it probably was the better of the two stadiums to sort of play in that sort of atmosphere. I think when we went to the other venue, it was a much bigger venue, and you didn't feel that it was loud, but you didn't get that really close, intense fan enthusiasm that you did in Horton. That's just my opinion. Yeah, you know, some people may feel a little bit different, but I think Horton, you really got that closeness and that feel of being at the game. I think the only way I can describe it is when I'm at home and I'm watching a game, I'll put the surround sound on and turn it up loud so you can feel that intense from the crowd and the noise, so it goes through you. And my kids were like, "Dad, why is the TV so loud?" I said, "I want to feel like I'm there," you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's my fond memories of the two venues. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk. You were, and we're going to explain this to the fans. The NBA at the time had 30 teams. The Raptors and the Grizzlies are not part of the NBA. You are drafted number 1 in the CBA. Would have been drafted in the second round of the NBA had there been 2 extra teams in there and been 64 drafts and picks instead of 60. So you drafted number 1 to the CBA, and you go to the Rockford.
Oh, Quad City Thunder.
Oh, that's right, Quad City Thunder. That's right. I kept thinking Rockford. Sorry.
No. Which was, if my memory was correct, you had the 2 Illinois side was Rockford and I think Moline.
Quad City. Yeah, the Quad Cities.
Yeah. Then you had,
you're right.
Yeah, Moline. Oh, I can't remember the quads. Yeah. So it's 2 cities in Iowa, 2 cities in Illinois, and the Mississippi River was the dividing line. Yeah.
Okay, so you played the Quad City Thunders. How long did you play there?
I played there for 1 season. Yeah, I was there for 1 season. What had happened was because when at that time, they were trying to mold me into playing the guard position because I was only 6'6" at the time. And, I was sort of 100 at that time. I wish I was now. I was 100 and probably 102. I'm going in kilos. I got to switch back, man. See my eyes.
You were like 205. Yeah,
you were like 205.
Yeah.
I was going to say 115 kilos, but 205, and so they wanted me to play the guard position. So they were molding me into moving out to the 3 and 2, and I wasn't a great shooter, as you will remember. I used to love to drive to the basket and dunk and do my little jump hooks and spin moves, but they were sort of pushing me out toward the 3-point line. And as we were working along, and at the time, Quad City was affiliated with Houston Rockets.
Okay.
So about halfway through the season, Mitchell Wiggins' dad and Lewis Lloyd, they were both ex-Houston Rockets players, and I think they got suspended for some off-the-court, violations. But they were making a comeback. And as they came back, my time started to dwindle a bit. And that's when probably halfway, because back then, Quad City and all the CBA, you can be in the locker room getting ready to get on the bus and go to the game, and you'll get a tap on the door by the manager and say, either you're traded or we've released you. So
we released you,
yeah. So I got back to I can't remember what team we played, but we wind up coming back to Quad City, and they told me that they were going to go with the 2 Houston Rocket players, and then that's when I wound up going to Australia after that. Yeah.
And your story is similar to Slick Rick's, right? Slick Rick gets sent down to, when he gets signs with the Nets. I think he was in the Nets. Either he or Hank. And so then the Nets send him to Connecticut. So he gets on the plane to fly to Connecticut. When he lands, then he's now been shipped to Florida.
Yes.
And then he decides he's going back to normal. So then he flies back to Chicago. When he lands in Chicago, he's been left from Florida. And now he's in somewhere in the Quad Cities. So, and in the course of 2 flights, he's been traded 3 times.
Traded 3 times. Yeah. Back then, it was a bit cutthroat, the CBA, which is now they developed it into they went to the D-League. And now G League, So it's,
G League,
so it's gone to the G League, and I think now the NBA is a bit more involved. So I think they're more affiliated with particular teams. So a team would be associated with that NBA squad, and nowadays. So back then, it was no real affiliation. It was just which veterans we can get, that can help us move on. Yeah. But one thing I think one thing I do remember was in the CBA is you played through quarters. So each quarter you get so many points, and you can probably lose the game, but you can still advance in the finals if you win so many quarters. That's probably what stood out the most. Yeah.
So Derrick, you played in the CBA that first year. Eventually, you made it to Australia. So let's talk about how you got there, and then talk about a little bit down under and how that differs from the U.S.
How I got to Australia, I went to a free agent camp in Los Angeles, and we actually played a few games with a lot of NBA players during the offseason. It was like a summer league, where it was more of a camp where recruiters from teams in Europe, Australia, everywhere come and watch players play. I actually played with Scott Brooks. He was the point guard at the time, and our team had a pretty good run. I think we made to the semifinals of that little tournament. And when I came home, I was sort of listening. I had an agent at the time, and he was more of a NFL agent / basketball agent. So he was talking to a few teams in Australia. So he said, look, what we'll do is I'll send you some information, see if you like it, and then we'll continue the negotiation. So I wind up coming out to a team called Nottawa Inspectors, which was one of the second division teams in the top league in Australia, because they got what's called the NBL, which is their national competition. And then they had a second competition, which was equivalent to Division 1A, like they have in Europe. You got your top, and then they go down A, B, C, D, and 2. And I want to plan 6 months. The idea was to go play for 6 months and then come back. And the agent would be on the phone, and he said, "Oh, I got you a tryout with the Cavaliers." So I said, okay. So we're going over, and I'm averaging probably 35 and 15 because the competition there is probably, I'll say it's equivalent to Division II NCAA. In the top competition in Australia is probably playing NCAA Division I. It wasn't at that NBA level, but it was competitive. And season gets close to finishing in Australia. I hadn't heard from the agent, so I rang the manager of the team I was playing for. I said, "Look, have you heard from my agent? I haven't heard from him. We tried to call and nothing's happened." And he said, "No." So we tried to call again. Phone's disconnected. So I come to find out, the club, the agent had organized to get his commission fully paid by the organization. So he's got his commission from me and the other player who they signed as well, and he just disappeared. So he skipped town, and I wound up becoming good friends with the manager of the actual team, and I wound up staying another season, and I played 2 years with them, and then just bounced around Australia for 8 years playing in the Australian competition. Yeah, but that was probably a memory that I would have liked to forget.
Sorry.
So you said you rang your agent versus
yeah,
calling your
rang.
agent. So you rang it. So that means you might have stayed in Australia a little bit longer then.
When I
because we don't ring people in the U.S. usually.
Well, John said you're gonna get some Australian slang coming out of me, and there it is.
Yeah, you got one.
Dude, I called you. We were chatting. You were in Australia last summer, and we were talking about doing this, and you said you were coming here. You turned around and you were barbecuing something.
Yes.
You were barbecuing some fish and some shrimp. So how would you actually say that because your wife was behind you, and you were like, "I'm barbecuing, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Oh my God, is this Crocodile Dundee?"
I know. Well, we.
So talk about barbecuing some food there.
Shrimp, and prawns are the same,
Yes.
except if you say prawns are a lot bigger in Australia. So you can get, if you say shrimp, you get in Australia. They're the little cocktail shrimps you get in the cocktail salad. If you say prawns, those are the big fat ones that you put on the barbecue. So it's funny how the language is English, but you got this slang that's quite different that you have to sort of adjust and pick up. I think that the thing that really stood out was when the team that I played for, I stayed with the family, Australian family, and what they used to do was set up all the food out for us, and then they go and do their thing. And they used to have what they call Vegemite, which is it's just awful. My kids love it, but I can't stand it. But it's made by Kraft, and Kraft is obviously an American brand. So we would call them up. I said, "What's this Vegemite stuff?" And he hesitated. He said, "It's like peanut butter." So I said, "Okay, so I'll try it. I'm inexperienced. I'll try anything." So I spread it on a piece of toast and butter, and it was the most awful tasting. And I described what I did. He said, "You're only supposed to put a tiny bit and then spread it out and then eat it that way." I said, "Oh, now you tell me. Thanks a lot." Yeah, but it's just a lot of the root. And then when we go to a game and we would say, "Who do you root for?" Now, rooting in our language here is you cheer for the team, and that's who you cheer for. Rooting over there is a sexual term.
Oh, really?
So I was like, "Well, who are you rooting for?" And everybody in the room was like, "Nobody." I said, "What do you mean?" And then they explained it to me. When you root, that's what you. Oh, okay. I won't use that. I won't use that anymore. It's just catching up and trying to adjust and saying what, like flip-flops, as we call here. They
on the
call
perimeter.
them.
It's a 13-point Bradley advantage. Anthony Manuel, of course, in Stan Albeck's doghouse a few weeks ago. There's a miss by Jeff Harris. Derrick Sanders with an offensive rebound.
It was just a challenge, and it was fun to sort of adjust and adapt. I think I've been there for 30 years now, so I've adjusted and adapt. But when I'm in Australia, they think I'm still American, but when I come here, you can hear the difference.
I can hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear the difference in the tone and the language and the words. Yeah. But the playing experience was quite good. I mean, the competition, like I said, wasn't as intense and full on as it is in Europe and the States, but it was good enough. It's getting better now. I mean, because it's a lot of players that's come from Australia and they go and play the college ball, and then they bring that experience back. So it's making the competition a lot stronger than it was in years past. Yeah.
I think St. Mary's lives off of the Australian players. And they do.
Oh yes,
well.
St. Mary's, Xavier. It's a few players that's in the league now. It's a couple guys. I think one, that McDaniels, he went through the high school level. Ben Simmons, I played with his dad. He went through the high school. I think they went down in Florida. They got a little, like, I don't know if it's AAU or whatever they.
AAU, yeah.
Yeah, they go through
travel.
that sort of system in the high school system, and then they work their way up. And then over the years, since I've stopped playing, a lot of the players, they leave a little bit early. And I think they got a program now where the NBA and the NBL, which is the Australian competition, they do like an exchange program. So if a kid doesn't want to go through the college level, they can go through the professional level and play over in Australia and then work their way back. But the G League now has upped its game, so it's keeping a lot of their talent in the U.S. instead of sending them overseas, which is probably a good thing, because it's better competition.
All right, Derrick, here's where we close. Floor's yours.
Oh, well, it's great. It's great to sort of to reminisce on old times and the school and the teams, and I just hopefully I'll get back in more often than not. I think my kids are a little bit older now. They're in their late 20s, early 30s, so that means I can travel a bit more. So I'll make sure I do make more often trips back to the U.S. But this winter, guys, I'm so sorry. I just can't do it. I can't do the snow. I live in upper part of Australia, which they call tropical north. So we get sunshine quite a bit, and you get a little bit of chilliness, but nothing like this. So you may see me in the winter, but you may not. So if you don't, we'll be doing podcasts and and FaceTiming during the winter. So, but no, it's good to see you, Jon, and reminisce. I got an opportunity to catch up with some guys. I think when was it? It might have been 5-6 years ago when Matt came out, because he came out for work, and we got a chance to catch up briefly when he was out in Australia. So if ever you guys make a trip out there, I'll throw some shrimp on the barbie, and we can have a good old barbecue and a beer, and that'd be awesome. So just thanks everybody for the opportunity to sort of share and reminisce on the good times I had at Illinois State.
Yep, and thank you for being on, big man. Right, you were a huge influence in my career, and Sonny and Gerard and Randy all say hi, and so this has been just awesome, and so love you to death. So this has been episode 50 of Bird Fans Forever with Derrick Sanders. Jon, take us out. Any clapping? We're supposed to get clapping for Derrick. We're not getting any.
I hit the button. It's not doing it.
Thanks, guys.